What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the latest news from Taipei. The cabinet has just announced its proposed general budget for 2027, less than a week after the opposition-controlled legislature approved the budget for this year. Leslie Lau is in our Taipei newsroom with the latest on the government's spending plan. Leslie, what does this proposal look like?
So, Eric, the 2027 general budget proposal that the cabinet has put out, the number is $123 billion US. Now, that's about a 30% increase from the 2026 general budget proposal. But the 2027 budget focuses on 6 main areas. Now, that's smart technology, social benefits, defense, soft power, balanced development, and sustainable growth. On the defense side, the cabinet has allocated $21.7 billion US directly for the Ministry of Defense. But overall defense spending will reach $35 billion US, which is about 3% of GDP, in line with the NATO benchmark.
而按照北大西洋公约组织的标准，整体的国防经费是达到1兆1225亿元，占 GDP 的比例逾3%。
On the social benefits end, the cabinet has budgeted about $300 US per citizen as a cash handout. Now, this is meant to redistribute gains from Taiwan's tech industry. The cabinet says that this year's 2027 budget proposal is a balanced budget, which means that if it is implemented as it is, at the end of the day, debt will not increase when implemented. This 2027 general budget proposal is still subject to legislative oversight and approval, and it comes about a week after the legislature approved the 2026 general budget, which is the longest delay on record. Now, the cabinet is instructing government agencies to communicate clearly with legislators so that the budget can pass swiftly. On the other end, the cabinet is asking legislators to apply appropriate oversight to this proposal, but not to let politics get in the way of the country's necessary functions. Eric, back to you.
Thanks for that, Leslie. And we'll be back with more analysis on the budget later on TaiwanPlus News. A pay bump is on the way for military service members, civil servants, and teachers.
军公教人员也从今年7月调增专业加级以及主管加级各2000元，明年1月起还会再加薪4%，这将是蔡英文前总统执政和我上任后累计第5次为军公教加薪。
President Lai Ching-te made the announcement while visiting an army base in Taichung. He says the pay raise recognizes the professionalism of service members while also strengthening national defense. Plans for even higher military salaries by opposition lawmakers are stalled amid a political standoff. A retired officer from Taiwan's National Security Bureau has been indicted for passing information to China. The suspect runs a travel business in Palau. Prosecutors say he knew retired intelligence officers like himself are barred from working for hostile foreign forces, but still linked information to Beijing. This included intelligence on Palau's support for Taiwan's 2021 World Health Assembly bid, as well as information on Taiwan's delegation to a conference on marine conservation in 2022. Taiwanese investigators have indicted at least 58 people for espionage since 2025, half of them active or retired service members. After German scholar Jürgen Krem shared his experience of being followed by an alleged Chinese spy with TaiwanPlus's Zoom In Zoom Out, his story drew far more public attention than he expected. Now he speaks with Isabel Wong about the reaction and whether his case could raise awareness of the growing challenges of transnational repression.
Your story has gone viral online, your interview with us. What has been the public reaction so far that you've seen?
For me, that shows that people understand that this is not just an individual story. It's not only my story. They see it as a much bigger issue behind it. The issue is how far China is prepared to go to influence, intimidate, or silence people beyond its border. I think there is a growing awareness in Taiwan, and that shows the story, that pressure from China does not stop at Taiwan's border. It can reach into universities, even in the West, into media in Taiwan, abroad, civil societies, and private lives of individuals.
Do you see your experience as part of the broader pattern of transnational repression that not only for Taiwanese or Chinese people, but then extended toward people like you or foreigners?
My research, and especially this case, have convinced me that we should look at these activities as a part of a larger system. China has developed intensive intelligence networks and security, and it influences worldwide decisions. That is why I think the term long-arm jurisdiction is important to us.
Do you feel like your experience would increase Taiwanese people's or like the public reaction toward China's transnational repression?
My hope is that journalists, academics, politicians, ordinary people take approaches from China more seriously, and they understand how far is the Chinese state trying to extend its power beyond Chinese borders. And the question is, what can democratic societies do about it? I think we in the West, and the West includes Japan, South Korea, and of course Taiwan, we need more awareness about this. We have been very blind about Chinese intelligence services and their activities in the free West. We need transparency, we need to document these cases, and we need to assist people who witnessed this intimidation.
That was Jürgen Krem. For more about Chinese espionage in Taiwan, watch the full episode of Zoom In, Zoom Out on the TaiwanPlus News YouTube channel or on our website. China has finished the first phase of building an island on Lingyang Reef in the South China Sea, according to satellite images reviewed by Reuters. The feature is also known as Antelope Reef and is claimed by Taiwan, China, and Vietnam. Analysts say China will use it as a base for military operations in the region, possibly giving it a strategic advantage over Taiwan. Beijing has not yet said it is building a base on the reef, with Chinese state media saying the facility will serve civilian needs. There's tension in South Korea as the U.S. cuts back routine joint exercises and U.S. President Donald Trump makes overtures to North Korea. Trump has suggested that he plans to meet North Korean leader Kim Jong-un later this year. John Van Trieste reports.
Masked South Korean soldiers arrest an actor posing as a security risk, part of ongoing regular drills with the U.S. With backup from robots, drones, and firefighters, the day is saved. The simulated terror incident at Seoul's Lotte World Hotel is foiled. The mayor of this district says this kind of civil defense drill is an important complement to the military exercises underway.
These days, wars don't have clear front lines and rear areas, and such warfare and terrorism can occur in everyday life, as we've seen in the Ukraine crisis.
But amid this success, there's uneasiness in the South Korean capital, roughly an hour's drive from the DMZ. U.S. President Donald Trump is making renewed overtures to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and he's criticized Seoul for not getting involved in the war with Iran and for a slow rate of investment in the U.S. He's ordered this year's joint military drills both cut back and shortened, to the concern of some members of the public.
The South Korean-U.S. drill is extremely important, and I don't think it should be reduced at this point in time. I believe we need to take this seriously and respond accordingly.
If the military drills get scaled back, I'm not sure how North Korea would view that. But it does make me somewhat worried that it could pose a threat to our safety.
In Washington, Trump says his decision and his push to meet with Kim Jong-un as early as this fall is good for regional security.
I just got along with him very good. We had great meetings. We speak. And I think our nation and I think other nations, frankly, whether it's Japan or South Korea, they're a lot safer if I'm president than if somebody else is president. Now, I didn't like the fact that we're doing these massive military exercises really against North Korea.
How far Trump's olive branch will get him is unclear. Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, says the U.S. is still hostile to North Korea, and that Pyongyang sees no point in commenting on the cutback to the joint exercises. She also says she doesn't know of any communication between her brother and Trump. Still, Trump's pivot away from a longtime U.S. ally has other regional partners alarmed. And it comes just as South Korea welcomes China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi for the first time since 2021, a further step in a diplomatic thaw between the countries that began at the start of the year. Wang's already met his South Korean counterpart, Cho Hyun, who had this to say.
Our president recently laid out a blueprint for peaceful coexistence on the Korean peninsula. In accordance with that, South Korea will continue to work toward the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula and the realization of peace. Based on the mutual interest in peace and stability on the Korean peninsula, I hope to cooperate with China and have candid and in-depth talks with Minister Wang today.
South Korea remains a key U.S. ally and is host to large numbers of American military personnel. But, as President Lee Jae-myung said Tuesday, the country is also seeking greater military independence, including an ending to the arrangement that places South Korean troops under U.S. command in a war. And now, the events of the past few days are testing a partnership that's weathered over 70 years. Dolphin Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Experts say that a Chinese company that's a world leader in robot dogs based its designs on U.S. military technology. Our reporter Larry Isiano has more.
This may look like something out of a science fiction film, but its potential military uses are real. Chinese companies are among the leading manufacturers of four-legged robots, or robot dogs. But the designs used by Chinese firms like Unitree may not be homegrown. Reuters reports that they're largely derived from the U.S. defense sector, with one expert saying some models have near identical dimensions.
There were papers published, and then these papers were very closely studied by Chinese companies like Unitree, and these principles were put to work and then scaled. That this is technology that at its core was developed at U.S. universities, funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars, and now we're seeing a lot of the Chinese companies really benefiting from it and shipping many more robots than we are in the U.S.
Unitree is not being accused of stealing technology, but rather taking advantage of public information and moving faster than its U.S. competitors. Unitree says its products are intended for civilian use only, despite their recent appearance alongside troops on Chinese state television. The U.S. has listed the firm as connected to China's military, but has yet to sanction it. Chinese company speed and efficiency in springboarding off U.S. designs while U.S. firms fall behind is a now familiar pattern causing concern across sectors. The trend has raised serious worries about U.S. competitiveness, particularly as some countries look to reduce their reliance on Chinese-made products.
When I look at where the U.S. has fallen behind, I see that loss and hollowing out of the manufacturing sector as being a really big driver of why the kind of corresponding national security applications have fallen behind as well in strategic areas, whether it's for semiconductors, other kind of priority technologies. That growing dependence is a big risk, and at this rate, I think that's the trajectory we're headed in.
Unitree sold more than 18,000 robot dogs last year, while no U.S. firm has managed to successfully mass-produce them. Industry insiders say the U.S. needs to work with its allies to catch up.
There's no way we're going to do this completely on our own as the U.S. We need to work closely with our allies, companies in Korea and Taiwan and Japan, where they have some of this manufacturing and supply chain expertise. So there's absolutely no path forward without them.
For the moment, Unitree and other Chinese firms appear to be racing ahead as the U.S. lags behind in four-legged robotics. The question now is, in a dog-eat-dog race for sector dominance, can the U.S. learn new tricks? Ryan Wu and Larry Isiano for TaiwanPlus.
A new mRNA vaccine could effectively treat a dangerous form of skin cancer. Moderna announced that a personalized vaccine appeared to stop melanoma from returning or spreading. The vaccine was used with Merck's immunotherapy drug, commonly used to treat melanoma, providing better outcomes than just using the drug alone. The companies are continuing trials on other types of cancer. And thanks for joining us here on What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we take a look at the Vintage Computer Festival in Silicon Valley, where enthusiasts are bringing old technology back to life. I'm Eric Au. Have a great afternoon.